Hello again. This is part three and hopefully the final part. It's the weekend tomorrow, so I can get the full weekend on it. The girlfriend's away. This is the plastic I use, which has got like a pattern on it. But unfortunately, that is the full width of the sheet that I get sent. There's a full one there. So I was going to cut a bit out of this one, but it's got the wrong pattern on it. It's a different pattern. The patterns aren't all the same, so I've just got a random bit, but I don't think you'll notice. And I thought if I put the USB and the other switch on there, clamping it together should help give it a bit of strength. So 10mm holes, 20mm holes, 30mm holes. The extinguisher switch goes there. I'm not sure whether I should put another few holes here. I think I've just made a list of what I want to do: the USB charger, main beam, dipped, wiper, the dash. I'm sure there'll be more that I need because I'm going to need more fuse than that. But I also will have the area between the two dash pods where I'm going to put the ignition key, and I'm going to have the spotlight switch on there. No, I think I've already got the spotlight switch, but I've got room to put switches there. So I'll put this on, and that should tidy up a lot of the electrics and let me know what I need to get. Right, you know, it's a slightly different pattern, but I'm not going to notice that. Different colour switches, things like that don't bother me. I put a USB charger in it for GoPro and phones and all that. The the extinguisher test thing will be there. Yeah, so it already had like clamps on the bottom to hold the old bit of aluminium in. So I put cable ties rather than rivets on the top, and went round it with the hot melt glue gun. So if it needs to come off, it can, but that should hold it quite firm for exuberant button pressing. Right now, I've got to stick it in the car and see if I need to get any more in there. I can always stick some through, drill it from the back. So I've still got room at the top. Right, we're getting there. I've made the starter panel switch, and the ignition's gonna go through the middle. So it's now time to start putting everything in. But what I thought I'd do is, if we have a look in here, I keep saying here, there's the PDM. Now that supplied the intercom, the nav light, and the ECU. So the idea being that that definitely shuts all the power off, was the alternator will carry on supplying power to other bits and pieces. I had loads of problems when I first got the cars, it wouldn't turn off. And the switch that went to the ECU wasn't connected. Someone took the engine out and someone else put it back in, and it just got a bit lost. And there was just the wiring wasn't. It was hard to find out where everything went. So it's no one's fault. But so I've been through all the bits and pieces. There's a switch panel which isn't basic. It's all electronic. It's not like there's wires going to switches, which is what I was hoping to be. That's the main engine isolator. I don't know. Yeah. I might have to buy a separate switch to run it because I want to run without that switch panel and without the PDM. The problem we had was the PDM controls the intercom. The intercom wasn't working on the last rally. We had to keep putting the button on, off, on, off, on, off. And then the ECU supply, that was 3 volts. I've just checked the output of it. So that might have contributed to my non-start. And I think it says in the instructions, do not run it without the ECU bit that turns off disconnected if you've got an alternator, because it can damage the PDM. So I don't know if it's done some damage to the PDM. So what I'm going to try and do is bypass that, just get rid of it, bypass PDM. All the cables go right from the back, from the battery, where the isolator is. They run up the front, they go round, they go backwards and forwards, and they come all the way back down again and back to the PDM. So it's just a lot of wiring that can be removed. If I can keep it simplified, that'd be much better. Right, I'm going to see what these switches do and see if I can just get. I don't know if I can utilize that one. I don't know if it's just a. Oh yeah, it looks like it means I have to dismantle this, which would be a shame to do. I'll see if I can get a Cartec switch. It's a momentary. No, it's an on-off switch, but it's got an LED in the middle, which is quite handy. And the extinguisher one, that is just a momentary switch. So I could probably do something with that. I'll have a look and see what I can get. I've been on this all day, and it's Saturday, and I thought, right, I can get it all buttoned up by tomorrow. I've got plenty of time, but it's just everything takes so long. I'm not far off it. Yeah, it's hopefully it'll be worthwhile. But it is taking a lot of time. So I've got all day. No, I've got half a day tomorrow to work on it. So I'm going to do some research now. It's 20 to 6, quarter to 6. So I'll do some research, have something to eat, then come back in and carry on and see if we can get something sorted out with the removal of the PDM and get some power involved. I've got more bobbins in here. I've got the main feed goes into that one, and then it feeds. Sorry, not that one. Main feed goes into one below it, and it spurs off and feeds that one. And I've got another one over there, which will be the ignition feed. So all the ignition wires that need powering up on the ignition will go from that one, and that will be fed from the ignition switch, which is there. Yeah, the other problem I had with the PDM is it's got four 12-volt, 12 amp outputs, and one of them went to the starter switch, and then it went to the ignition, but that goes to the starter motor. So I can't understand how it would have constant 12 volts going to the starter motor and not be turning over all the time. I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense at all. And there was a power feed from the ignition going to the other starter switch, because it had two starter switches, and I don't understand how this switch, that was a starter switch, was connected. It must have been through the PDM and sending a power supply, only when needed, only when you press a button. That makes a lot of sense, because I think you can program the PDMs. I don't know anything about PDMs. That's why I'd rather not have it. This car's 48 years old, and it was built with 6 fuses or whatever they had, and a couple of relays. So I'm sure we can manage. I know the spotlights and fuel pumps and all that need relays because they're high draw, but we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. Right, it's a Sunday morning now, and well, it's Sunday afternoon. I've been out on the bike for a cycle ride. I've been thinking about the PDM and the panel that goes here. I understand how it works now. The panel, I don't even know where it's gone now. It'll be around. Oh, there it is. That button there sends a signal to one of the spade outlets on the PDM that went to the starter, so it was only live when you press the button, which makes sense. I couldn't get my head around how it was working and what it was doing and where it was going. So I understand that. That's fine. I'm not going to use it though, because I've got a button and the ignition that I can use. The wiring, I'm doing away with these buttons here because I don't see the point. I might as well just have a switch on the dash. but I will keep this because otherwise I need to get a new. That they're 30 quid. I don't know how much these are, and it's already here, and it's quite nice with the bracket the way it's been made. These hundred and something pounds for these. The PDM's hundred and something pounds. It's not cheap stuff. So what I'll have is the ability to plug something into the spade connectors in the PDM there, and switch them from here. So if I do have any other things that want to go in here, or I put it all together and realise I've forgotten to do something, then at least I can do that. I could do the spotlights off that or something, so use a relay to control the power to the spots that's fed by the stalk. So you can't have the spotlights on without the high beam on. Apparently it's a regulation mode, like an MOT thing. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I've been putting all the powers in. Everything's just loose at the moment because I'm adding powers to it. So what I don't want to do is put a switch, the actual panel in, and then find I've got to get back under the dash. There's another one there where that's the switched live. So I will need to get back and forwards. But once all these are out of the way, it's gonna, if I can just keep the wire going backwards and forwards there, and then keep it tied together where it's like going up to the relays, then it'll just tide it up so much. But I thought I'd get this side because the power steering's, the wiring goes everywhere, so I need to sort that out. So I'm gonna get a have a look and see where it goes, try and understand it, and then see if we can tidy that up a bit. Well, I'm just trying to get these wires tied up still. So there's a yellow wire that's really thick that goes behind the dash, and it goes well, we've got all this, and then it goes back to this thin wire, that runs to the back of the car. Now I've got no idea what it does, where it goes to, why it's there, but I'm going to leave it there, but I'm just going to join it there rather than having all that excess. I think that's a lot of the problem with the wiring, has just been more than needed. But I'm getting there. I'm starting to button up all the bits and pieces. I've got all the positive feeds in. I cannot find the spotlight feed. There's a trigger feed for the spotlight. It comes off the spotlight stalk, and it needs to go to a switch. So I'm trying to find that at the moment. But the more like tidying up I do, the less wires are hanging about, the more obvious it should be to where it is. Right, that's it for today. I've been on it all afternoon. It's 5:30 it is now. There's another relay I've had to fit, which is the horn relay. So that makes it 9 relays it's got. There's 4 of them for the fuel pumps. All this wiring is going to go onto the bottom bit that goes on here. So that's the next thing I'm going to put on, because that will get rid of a lot of these spare wires, these loose wires. I've tidied up loads of the wiring. That's very sparse compared to what it was like before. I've still got all these bits to do. That's mainly for the gearbox, and you can't cut them down. It's got the molded socket on the end. So I'm just going to fold them up so they're up out the way. And there's another cable which is for the Cartec isolator, which you can't cut. So the Cartec is very clever. I didn't understand how it works, but now I do understand how it works. I'm gonna keep it. It's good, and it's so expensive. All these wires here are going to go into the dash panel and the bottom panel. So there's not a great. I reckon another evening. I've spent some hours on this, and I'm, not 100% sure it's all going to work as I want it to. I still can't find the spotlight feed. I think I've put that to a permanent live, which would be a bit of a pain. It just means the spotlights will be on all the time, so I'll have to. At least I'll be able to. It should be easy enough to find out which one it is. I think I might do all the feeds into this bottom bit first, and then investigate that, put the power onto it, and see if which one, if it is on that all the time. It's otherwise it's not a problem to start from scratch. I just got to find out the feed, the main beam feed that goes to the relay. So I could probably work that out without having to put power through it and see where it goes. If it goes, well, it'll probably end up going to the power feed. But yeah, I'll work that out later. Well, it's finally not 100% buttoned up because I've still got these wires here are for the, I've got a shift light which will go on top of the dash here, because I don't even know where the rev limiter is. I'm sure I've revved it to 9 and it didn't sound like it had a rev limiter, so I need to get a shift light and find out when to change gear. There's loads and loads of little bits of wire. I mean, I've given it a good clean out. There's all the backing of the stickers everywhere. I need to give it a good hoover, but I've not put everything. Everything's got a couple of screws holding it in. I thought I'd better check it first to make sure everything works. So the way it works is if you put the main power on, we end up with the USB charger is live, the intercom and the fan. So they're all running independently. So if the fan goes off, the intercom won't go off, and they're on trip switches. So if they do go off, you should be able to reset the trip switch. That's all that works with the main power on. And then when you turn the ignition on, we've got the dash lights up, neutral. Then we've got light screen, got high pressure pump, lift pump, and the same with these two. Fan, done that. Oh, we've got a voltage, so we can keep an eye on that. That is when it's on full beam for the spotlights. So there's a green wire here, which is a trigger feed. I'll put the relay and that in the engine bay. I'll leave them on the spotlights so they can come off when it's not being used. This is the button that does the speedometer. It cycles through it. That's the power steering adjuster. One thing I haven't tried is the starter. Oh yeah, it works. I've got full beam. I don't seem to have dip. I've got hazards are working all right. But the one wire I'd left over was dash it says on there. So that might be a feed that sends the dip signal. So I need to experiment with that. I've got to check the brake lights work. The dash doesn't light up when you put the lights on. Oh, the side lights do work. Oh yeah, I've got dips and side. Right, okay. That's good. I haven't connected the ECU yet, just because I thought in case there is anything that's not working. I think that it looks a bit moderner than it did before. None of these switches do anything. That doesn't do anything. That was going to be for the nav light and intercom, but that is now intercom and nav light. So, and the nav light's on. So they both run off the same intercom and nav light. That has been a hell of a lot of work, but I probably can't see up there, but there's a fraction of the wiring there used to be. It's just simplified, and it feels like if there is a problem, like the dip's not working, I don't think it should be easier to work out what's going wrong. The reason I've got this is for the
charging GoPro or phone. So yeah, that'll just be handy, and I won't have to turn the ignition on to get that on. Yeah, I think I need to give it a good, take it for a long drive, make sure everything's happy, make sure everything works all right. I can see the fuel pressure gauge works. I'm not sure about the rev counter. I don't know if that's, yeah, I saw it twitching. That should be right. So the shift light, where have I put it? Don't know. It's got a power and a negative, which is what these are. That's ignition power. And it's got a cable that goes to the back of the rev counter. That's why I've left this out. And then there's another wire that does, you earth it. So what you do is you get it to the revs where you want the shift light to start coming on, and then earth the other cable. Yeah, it's just got a bit of a thing on the end. So you earth that on the chassis, and then that'll set it for where it starts coming on, and then you get to the where you want your limit to be, and you earth it again, and then it'll start doing, I presume it does progressive lights coming up from the sides. I don't even know what make it is. It looks like the CarTech one, but it's not got CarTech written on it. It was on a car that I bought, and yes, I'll put a bit of Velcro on that and stick it on top of the dash, and then drop the wires through the back. I took there was a plastic vent for the demister, and I took that off because there was no need for it. Didn't do anything, so I should be able to get the wires from that through the dash and then connect it up. But yeah, it's been, I reckon I've got to have put well over 40 hours into that. But fingers crossed, if I do get another problem, it should just be easier. And if a fuse goes, I haven't got any fuses now. It's just these thermal switches will trip. So if anything goes wrong, I should be able to reset it, and that'll keep it going until I can find out why it went wrong. And you know, that's why I could keep driving it. I've just to make sure there's enough ampage on the trip switches, as the switch in the, let me just get rid of the fuse box on the original Ford Escort. All the fuses were 8 amp, so I presume 8 amp is ample for like the headlights and the windscreen washers and stuff like that. Oh, I never checked them actually. I'll turn it off. So I've got a range. I put 20 amps onto the ECU. I don't think it needs 20 amps, but apparently the newer ones do because they feed other things. Just got to sort the dip lights out, the shift light, and yeah, would I do it again? Yeah, I got it because the green one needs doing, so that'll be the next job. At least I know what I want and what I can order. So I need to get some, I've still got loads of bits left over, but I need to get some more thermal switches. So far I've spent probably £200, I think, on the switches, probably a bit more than that. Which money well spent if it works, if it stays all together and is reliable. I really hope it is. I've put a lot of effort in to try and make it more reliable and easier to work. And next thing, I've got to get the starter sorted out. So maybe that there might have been an issue with the wiring or something, I don't know. Maybe that's cured, but until it happens again, I won't know. Right, well, it's been a bit long, but honestly, I've been every night till like 10:30 in here, and I've been taking lots of time off work to come, and I've been starting early in the morning. And I've had the girlfriend's away at the moment, so it's been good that I've been able to work on it, but she's been like calling me and I can't answer the phone because I'm halfway through wiring up a trip fuse and I've got 3 wires going to it, and if I let go of them, I'll just get totally lost. So you have to sort of focus on it. Right, so thanks for watching, and see you next time.